Why you choose people who don't value you.
Let me describe something. You meet someone. They are a little distant. A little hard to read. Sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Sometimes they make you feel special. Sometimes they disappear without explanation. And you cannot stop thinking about them. You check your phone. You replay conversations. You try to figure out what they meant by that one thing they said. And there is someone else in your life. Someone who is always there. Who answers quickly. Who is kind and consistent and genuinely interested in you. And somehow, they feel boring. You don't feel that pull. That electricity. That need to chase. Did you recognize yourself in that? Because if you did, you are not alone. And there is a very clear reason why this happens. It is not bad taste. It is not bad luck. It is a pattern. Built a long time ago. Running quietly in the background of every relationship you have ever had. And today we are going to talk about where it comes from, and what you can do about it.
The feeling that feels like love.
Here is something that is hard to hear. That feeling, the one you get with the distant, complicated person, it is not love. It is anxiety. Your heart beats faster. You can't stop thinking about them. You feel alive when they finally respond. You feel devastated when they don't. That is not connection. That is your nervous system in a state of alert. It feels intense. It feels electric. It feels like something real and deep and meaningful. But intensity is not intimacy. Anxiety is not love. The two just feel very similar when you have never known the difference.
Where this pattern comes from.
This doesn't start with the person you are chasing right now. It started much earlier. Amir Levine, who studied attachment patterns for years, found something important. The way we connect with people as adults is deeply shaped by what we learned about connection as children. If love felt consistent and safe when you were young, you learned that relationships are safe. That people stay. That you can relax. But if love felt unpredictable, if the people closest to you were sometimes warm and sometimes distant, sometimes present and sometimes gone, you learned something different. You learned that love is something you have to earn. Chase. Work for. You learned that when something feels easy and stable, it probably isn't real. And when something feels uncertain and intense, that must be passion. That must be the real thing. So now, as an adult, your nervous system looks for what it knows. Not what is good for you. What is familiar. And familiar, for many people, feels like uncertainty.
Why the good person feels wrong.
Here is the moment that breaks a lot of people's hearts when they finally understand it. The kind, consistent, available person doesn't feel exciting. Not because they are boring. But because they are not triggering your alarm system. Your nervous system learned to associate love with anxiety. With the chase. With that feeling of not being sure. So when someone is just good to you, your system says, this doesn't feel right. Something is missing. And you pull away. Or you get bored. Or you start to find small things wrong with them. Because deep down, calm doesn't feel like love. It just feels like waiting for something to go wrong. This is not your fault. But it is your responsibility to understand it.
The chase that never ends.
Let's talk about what actually happens when you chase the complicated person. Sometimes they are warm. They give you just enough. A message. A moment. A small sign that maybe this is going somewhere. And that small sign, after all that waiting, feels enormous. Your brain releases a wave of relief. Of happiness. Of, finally. And your brain remembers that feeling. It connects the person with that wave of relief. And it wants it again. So the next time they pull away, you chase harder. Because somewhere your brain learned. If I just do enough, if I wait long enough, if I am patient enough, I will get that feeling again. This is the same mechanism behind any addiction. Unpredictable reward is more powerful than consistent reward. That is not a character flaw. That is just how the brain works. But knowing this changes everything. Because now you can see the pattern for what it is. Not fate. Not chemistry. Not destiny. Just a loop. Running on old programming. And loops can be broken.
The moment you see it clearly.
There is usually a moment. You are waiting again. Checking your phone again. Making excuses for them again. And something inside you gets very quiet. And asks a simple question. Why am I working this hard for someone who is not working at all? That question is important. Hold on to it. Because the answer tells you everything. You are working this hard, not because they are worth it, but because something in you believes that love has to be this difficult. That if it comes easily, it isn't real. That you have to earn it. But that is the old story. Not the truth.
What real connection actually feels like.
Many people who have spent years chasing unavailable people say the same thing when they finally experience a healthy relationship. It felt boring at first. Too easy. Too calm. Too available. They almost walked away. But they stayed. And slowly, something shifted. They realized that what they had called boring was actually safety. What they had called too easy was actually respect. What they had called no chemistry was actually the absence of anxiety. And for the first time, they could breathe. Real connection does not feel like a roller coaster. Real connection feels like coming home. Not exciting in the way that keeps you up at night with worry. Warm. Steady. Real. The Bible describes love as something patient and kind. Something that does not keep a record of wrongs. Something that does not play games. That kind of love exists. But you have to be willing to recognize it when it shows up quietly, without drama, without the chase, without the uncertainty that your nervous system mistook for passion.
Why this is worth changing.
Here's what the pattern costs you. Years, sometimes decades, spent on people who were never going to give you what you needed. Energy poured into relationships that were always going to leave you empty. The good people, the consistent ones, the available ones, the ones who actually showed up, pushed away because they didn't feel right. And underneath all of it, a quiet belief that you are only worth love when you fight for it. That is the real cost. Not just the difficult relationship. But what it teaches you about your own value. You deserve to unlearn that.
How to start breaking the pattern.
This takes time. It is not fixed in one conversation or one realization. But it starts somewhere. 1. Name what you feel. Next time you feel that intense pull towards someone unavailable, stop. Ask yourself, is this excitement or is this anxiety? Feel the difference in your body. Excitement feels open, light, safe. Anxiety feels tight, urgent, like you might lose something. Learn to tell them apart. 2. Get curious about the calm. When someone is consistently kind to you, instead of pulling away, get curious. What is it about this that feels uncomfortable? Why does safe feel wrong? That discomfort is important information about your pattern, not about the person. 3. Give it time. Attraction to healthy people sometimes grows slowly. Don't decide in the first week that there is no chemistry. Give it real time. Let yourself experience what consistency actually feels like. 4. Notice what you are actually getting. With the complicated person, write down what you actually receive. Not what you hope for. Not what they occasionally give. What you actually, consistently receive. Then do the same for the consistent person. Compare them honestly. 5. Work on the belief underneath. The real work is in the belief that love has to be earned. Where did that come from? When did you first learn that? This is where talking to someone, a counselor, a trusted person, can help. Because these patterns live deep. And they need more than just understanding to change. They need new experiences. Of being loved without having to chase it. Of being valued without having to earn it. Of feeling safe, and letting that be enough.
The last thought.
You have not been choosing wrong people because something is wrong with you. You have been choosing familiar people. People who match the pattern you learned when you were too young to know any better. But you are not that young anymore. You can see the pattern now. And seeing it is the first step to changing it. The person who is good to you, who is consistent, who shows up, who doesn't make you chase, that person is not boring. That person is what you actually deserve. And one day, when you have done enough of this work, calm will stop feeling like the absence of something. It will feel like exactly what it is. The presence of something real. Something worth staying for.
If you enjoyed the story, leave a like and subscribe.